Hi everyone, it's Michelle Samuels for Why Goals ID. I am Michelle Samuels for Why Goals ID, and today we're gonna be talking a bit about artificial intelligence, or as it's renowned, AI, as AI, and how it may affect setting goals or goal setting in the future for individuals within the global and economic environment. Can't say globally, but we can at least try and pinpoint some of the trends and ideas that are being discussed within the scope of AI. Um, I think people hear about AI, but the first thing that comes to mind is usually robotics or just a lot of technological scripts and all that. It's not even a joke. I'm being serious because in my mind, originally when I heard about AI, I just thought, what in God's name is AI? So I thought I'd bring some clarity before we go any further to what is AI from a paper that I had written previously on artificial intelligence. So one of the extracts from the paper says artificial intelligence, by its very definition, implies the utilization of non-humans. This was said by Holloway in 1983, and is generally defined as the capabilities of machines to carry out human-like cognitive requirements and instructions, incorporating movement, perception and analysis, problem definition, reconstruction and correction, application of decisive action, and innovation. And further, AI should harness the ability to act intelligently across a specified location while systematically collecting data. Furthermore, AI should be able to decipher and learn to act in line with specifications and variable configurations while adjusting output based on requirements. According to Garbuo and Lin 2019, fundamentals of AI is machine learning focused, which implies that computers are programmed to self learn based on repetitive analysis and examination and scrutinizing specific inputs that outline activities aligned with perceptions of reality. Researchers have explored how artificial intelligence is being used within enterprises and the techniques that are being implemented, techniques that are relevant and directly related to AI. The research paper highlights both tangible and intangible uses and impacts of AI on the enterprise. AI has transcended beyond mere techniques and applications and is theorized through research to be valuable as it relates to value enhancement. And it is suggested that the magnitude and quality of the data and the capabilities that support such will be the defining factor in successful value creation. Creation of value as a consideration requires a certain degree of advanced judgment, intellectual and innovative training, and expertise, and the embracing of a new dynamic capability that requires a collaborative approach that transcends traditional methodologies in order to examine the cost implications and effect of digital transformation. We're gonna stop it right there and go back to. So basically, they're saying that AI it will be mimicking humans, and the inputs that are presented to the AI itself are done so from a machine learning standpoint. So it's as if the AI gets the data, it collects it from different sources, and then it will look at it from multiple angles, and then create it's almost like a learning mechanism as to how to react. Just like humans, repetitive actions will be used in conjunction with task, and behavior patterns will evolve from it, or behavior patterns are created. So it's basically mimicking to a certain degree us. Now the thing is, like in looking at AI and goal setting, because if markets are changing and technological applications are changing the market based on whatever varying factors that have come in and created this impact, there are certain assumptions. So one assumption may be that the AI is collecting the information accurately and has access to multiple sources of information so as to be able to give an output that is more specific and aligned with probability outcomes or how individuals will possibly behave from a prediction standpoint. Now, if we assume that the AI is accurate, we can assume that there are access to multiple channels, and with those access to multiple channels of data comes a sense of responsibility. Or is it that there is another possibility, which is that the data is not being collected from multiple sources and it's not as, I was drinking, sorry, I was having something hot. The AI is not as accurate in terms of its ability to project or predict or be able to show outputs that are specific. Now, if it's suggested that the AI has gaps in the information, obviously it will affect goal setting. And the reason why it will affect goal setting is because everybody's scenario is unique. One, you can find multiple groups that you can look at the information from that standpoint. However, if you, from an investment standpoint, you're going in thinking the AI is going to be specific and you can probably predict with greater accuracy the returns on your investment, then there might be a necessity to do a risk analysis and incorporate the risk in the risk analysis that the outcome may or may not be correct within certain parameters. To go move forward neglecting the possibility of that probability of the lack of information of the AI means that there would be, from a goal setting standpoint, one would probably go in thinking, okay, I'm able to know with certainty what the outcome will be, and I'll design my plan around the idea that I can predict with great clarity what the outcome is going to be, what my return on investment will be, what my schedule will be like, what the factors that will show up within certain time frames, and also the cost impact, as well as how are we going to use the plan to be able to gain and achieve all of the benchmarks that have and milestones that have been put in place. Now AI is changing the landscape completely, and how it's changing the landscape is that, let us look at some examples of AI. Some people may think that AI is specific to like software, and it's not necessarily. There are elements of digital transformation that includes AI but also includes other types of technologies as well. AI is just an active component in it. Now online you can see here from Google that when you input examples of AI, it suggests from some articles that artificial intelligence examples are like manufacturing robots, self-driving cars, smart assistants, healthcare management, automated financial investing, virtual travel booking agent, social media monitoring, and marketing chatbots. Going back to the paper we were talking about, where the definition of AI was suggesting that AI is basically a machine mimicking humans. If we go back to the bottom of this paper, we can see that there are so many technological complexities behind AI that is not evident to the average person because of the specialist type area of study that it entails. AI is not only affecting enterprises, but if we operate like enterprises as a hypothetical, then we would probably be affected in the long run because AI will probably filter into how the household operates from an energy saving standpoint, from environmental friendly standpoint, from the viewpoint of having more efficiency around the household in terms of just having the necessary household items that will operate at a higher level, speed, accuracy to enhance the ability to have comfort and speed of how to use knowledge and information in the household, as well as the external impacts of AI. So, from a goal setting standpoint, it's necessary to understand that traditional information is not sufficient in terms of saying that individuals are equipped for the AI environment that is fast approaching. And there is much emphasis on the computer science aspect of it, with a lot of learning jargons, as well as many of the many of the digital transformation digital technologies that are out there are not simple to the minds of those who have no idea about the subject matter. So it's basically learning how to not use every single one of the applications and the technologies, but having a broad knowledge of the similarities that exist within all of them or a few of them, enough to be able to make a strategic decision as to which one is best suited for a specific individual, household, team, or organization or partnership. And the list goes on. Because with AI is fast coming in and deeply embedded in computer science from the degree that it looks at different areas such as enterprise learning capabilities, machine learning. Machine learning is included, looking at digital transformation success factors like decentralization, clear program definition, digital technologies that look at how to create better products with better features, pricing, and looking at how organizations can better operate. And obviously, if the organizations are better operating, then it will affect how the humans operate in the household as well. The big question is, from a connectivity standpoint, if AI is able to access the data or not. Let's say it's not able to access all the data from a connectivity standpoint. Remember, there will be gaps. So, looking at the goal setting criteria, now one has to use common sense and think, okay, those inputs may have variations. They may have different. They may not be specific and accurate. So, from that viewpoint, if I'm goal setting, I have to include probabilities of risk factors, and some of those risk factors may be the inclusion of the inclusion some of those risk factors may be the inclusion of extreme occurrences like events that were not normally included in our plan, such as how does one survive like occurrences like global outbreaks or environmental issues such as weather and so on. And not only that, it's not easy to create a plan that is very clear with the gaps in the knowledge, as well as the fact that the organizations themselves have been looking at different ways to improve the internal complexities of the organization and source individuals who are able to function as a match with the digital technologies and AIs that are being introduced. So, I mean, you can go in with a certain level of investment and say you're going to use the technologies. You've done the groundwork, you've done the due diligence, you have an idea of what may be suggested as best, maybe from a specialist or something, or you yourself have the knowledge. But then when you look at it, it has to be implemented by people who are not equipped with the skills necessary to be able to effect the change that is pending. So there's a gap not only with the knowledge of what's available outside from a resource standpoint, and this is from a people standpoint, but on specialist standpoint, but also knowing that readjustments have to be made in terms with the AI because it's not necessary to have as much human input into those scenarios. So companies are now looking at how can they cut price, create efficiency, and get the right people who can actually operate the technologies and do it and or transform the organization in line with those things, which are basically some of them are still in the test phase. So from a goal setting standpoint, we could look at one or two of the industries that may affect or may be affected by this whole transformation on the household and the individual. So when you goal setting, you're basically looking at some of your cost. You're looking at how to find balance. You're looking at how to secure your home. You're looking at how to create resource opportunities, whether it's through employment, through investment channels, and so on. You're looking at the traditional blueprint of what was learned before and what is knowledgeable now and moving forward, what skill sets that you have, what how averse you are to actually learning something new, and the trust factors around the collection of the data and those people who are responsible for the data. Other than the trust factors, one other thing is that if the connective going back to the connectivity issue, there may be applications that operate similarly, but there are gaps, so they can't communicate with each other very well, nor will companies be communicating with other companies because of the importance of the data and the responsibility from a legal standpoint that surrounds that. So you're looking at goal setting. So you're using a traditional format with goal setting moving forward and saying, okay, I'll just use the expectation that if I write down in my plan that this is going to happen this way, that it will, is not sufficient to actually look at the goals that are aspired or aimed for. So you want to go after your goals, but you need them to be realistic and smart. You need them to be able to create value, not from the viewpoint of saying that, oh, it will create value because that's what I want to happen or that's what the individual wants to happen, but being open to the idea that it will create value because you've looked at it from so many different angles and you're aware of the gaps on your side that you hold within certain parameters. You're aware of the gaps because you don't have the knowledge base to even know if the AI is operating at a level that is consistent with what is best for your unique situation. And there are certain digital technologies that will come in that you'll have no choice but to operate within that environment. So let's say you've invested into a vehicle. Now there are so many regulations that are changing that are connected to owning a vehicle. And some of them are connected to environmental decisions and protections. So there are changes that will come in and you will project a cost around owning a vehicle, but those changes coming in will require that within certain timelines that you may have to get rid of the vehicle that you have and be financially equipped to change over to fit in with regulations. And this stems over to the housing market as well. I don't get into the complexities of it from a specialist viewpoint. This is just general information. So if you need more information, no problem, refer to a specialist. But the thing is that we can use common sense and we can look at how we're going to approach goal setting. And one of the areas, as you can see, that AI covers is health management. And also, there was, while doing my research, I actually saw information about how, just looking at areas of psychology and mental health and so on, and how AI is changing the landscape of that. But AI is still in the first stages of operating, because it's still, the humans are still learning to figure out themselves. So the inputs of the data, we can, as a hypothetical, look at it and say the inputs of the data may change moving forward, because as we go along and as we evolve and we learn more about ourselves, we recognize that one thing that may have worked may not be applicable in at that point in time that we put on the timeline for it to occur, how it would have occurred. But that is because, possibly because of lack of knowledge too, because we can only operate within certain specific constraints. But when the data becomes very complex with large amounts of information, sometimes it's if it's not accurately managed, looked at, explored, and if the people or person that is looking at it doesn't have the skills to be able to look at it, it can give, like I said, predictions that result in an L or a loss on your side. So you want to factor in not only the standard traditional approaches to things that we need to exist in the environment, you want to also project from the viewpoint of looking at even your purchases, because some purchases are somewhat obsolete, but you're still going after those purchases, because at the end of the day it sounds like it was good 10 years ago, and now that you've worked very hard through the years, you've gotten to the stage where it's maybe affordable to you. But then, now that it's affordable, it's becoming obsolete. And not only that, if you're not able to adjust within the environment by being flexible, you'll introduce those same traditional purchases to the next generation, which is like children in your household, and that is not equipping them and preparing them for what is out there in terms of being able to survive and to do well within the environment. Because from the next generation standpoint, most of the programs that are are I can't say most of the programs that are in existence, but it's necessary to look at what degree the inclusion of information about how AI operates, computer science information that is cross-referenced in the system of learning, and the use of traditional information, but not from the traditional viewpoint, to the degree where it competitive it positions next generation in a disadvantageous way, because other than the lack of knowledge, they also have to deal with the fact that digital transformation and AI is coming in and it's creating more efficiencies and more specialisms. Specialisms meaning that most people who would have had a job, you may or may not be needed in certain industries anymore. So how do you upskill your audience in to find alternate routes or different routes to be able to survive, so as to make sure that one can satisfy the demands of organizations making all these changes, to the degree where it's a profit making venture, or is it just an investment that is being explored, and then the affordability won't be there for the buyers because the market couldn't or could, but let's say it couldn't adjust to be able to create a viable investment for the enterprise. Pardon. So when you're looking at your goal setting, then it's necessary to kind of look at where are you positioned from a resource and money making standpoint to go after these goals that you have. How does the society operate? What are the technologies that are coming in? And how are you equipped to take advantage of them? And where do you project you'll be positioned in the economic state of things from a realistic standpoint, not a wishful thinking standpoint, not a standpoint that used traditional approaches previously and going in with the hypothetical that, oh, it's all going to be the same, it's the same level of competition. Because with, and the whole game is changing, because with the right education, young people can come in, and the right access to resources, younger people can come in and just dominate the market, because those who are ahead of the game didn't project that those young people are, so embedded in the computer science and technology aspect of it. They outshine people who are already invested or invested for years, and then changes occur around hiring, and even if the changes don't occur, the results will not be seen. So it's necessary to kind of explore other options, and those options may be either young people or people who have been investing time and energy into the idea that it's computer science technologies and information rounded information, like how the society operates, how individuals make choices, their response to certain changes, and so on, would be considered. Many people are out there living in a backward timeline, and I mean, I can say I've been experiencing some elements of it myself, because there are so many advances that are going on. But is it really realistic, the projection around AI, to say AI is active within the environment and we should panic at this point? I can't really say. But the reality of it is that there are so many gaps in the game, that to tap into the idea that AI is going to save us on some level without us being actively, or becoming active in elevating our creative capabilities, elevating our learning methodologies, unlearning other methodologies, getting more understanding about what is happening in the background, preparing our learning systems to be able to adapt from an early stage. And then the question then arises, what is it going to be like competition wise? What is it going to be like in terms of distribution of income? What is it going to be like from a wealth distribution standpoint? And this may mean that there may be shifts. So people who have put things in place from before, from a goal setting standpoint, it may have worked to some point for them, but moving forward, depending on longevity or the time in terms of how long they will live and so on. One has to question, is it really feasible for them moving forward? Do they have the protection mechanisms in place to be able to survive if they have costs to maintain? Because there are always costs involved, for many people who have passed, especially the retirement stage, and they may live longer as well. So it's like a redefinition of self, and are re-looking at how things operate. And one of the first places is looking at your knowledge and what is actually going on in the environment. Because if you're not looking at what industries you're exploring going into, because if we're using the traditional methodologies from previously and using that in the learning system, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, by the time you get there, the old ways have already passed, but you were actually preparing from an old methodology standpoint, and you've invested money, time, effort, but you're in a state of confusion because you followed all the rules, but you weren't up to date with what was going on moving forward. So you're prepared from a backward thinking standpoint, not intentionally, but that's what was learned. Where will that put your goals and your aspirations? Now, this is then you'll find yourself in a state of just trying to survive the game. And from the survival, once you get caught in the survival of the game standpoint, then I mean, how do you get to learn quick enough and to tap into that creative aspect of yourself, where at this point you're no longer processing repetitively because the machines can do it for you, but that you can use that information, those applications, those digital technologies. You can be able to draw that information together and actually extract from a decision making standpoint and compete on a higher level within the environment in which you find yourself. So even if you're looking at goal setting, you want to be looking at it from a multiple outcome standpoint, not just, oh yeah, this is going to happen. Multiple outcome standpoint. So variations in the numbers, including unforeseen and seen events, because some people just don't want to think of the possibility of some event occurring when it occurs anyway. It's about preparing for those events. So we have a choice to make moving forward. How are we going to use this AI technology? And there are different ways. One of the ways is that it's necessary to learn about the different types of technologies. And it's necessary that even from a base level standpoint to learn about these technologies, because if somebody is telling you rubbish, then at least you have at least a foundation level information. Because whether or not you want to, you're still gonna have to tap into technologies through the vehicles that you use, through the learning system, through operating from an employment standpoint. And all these things go back to your ability to create money and value within your household, and also create balance, and to be able to use information to whether enhance health, social interactions, understanding of self, belief systems. But fundamentally, in drawing all that together, it comes down to the money and survival and progress. So like I said, just to give you an overview, there are different things that are affected by viable AI techniques and applications, like the supply chains are being disrupted. That's one thing. Supply chains, the medical industry, there are different forms of looking at different business models as well. And if you're looking at a business model, it's necessary to look at your household model as well, and how is it that your household is going to be designed, getting rid of the obsolete, preparing yourself to be able to acquire new things, and to actually respond and operate from a new form of intellectual upper capabilities or abilities or functioning. Now, this is not a game. It seems like a game. Yes, obviously it's a game to a certain degree, but this is not a game where one can say, if I close my eyes and keep doing what I was told I should do, then automatically I'll be safe. And the thing is that the market is only, you can only, there's a restricted number of people that can operate in such markets, because if the AI is doing most of the work, less people will be able to function at that level. And some people are not designed to function at that level, because their interests actually stem towards different, more creative industries. So the question is, how do they use AI to be able to enhance them from a competitive standpoint, or actually look at how we're going to create a whole different blueprint around how we operate and compete, and what maybe employment won't be the word moving forward. Maybe the resources of income will differ and change, and methods of earning will change as well. So, like I said, while you're doing your plan, just make sure you're not closed-eyed and naive. And it's necessary to just up your game, up your knowledge, and be able to say what is best for you in the environment. Because if the AI is learning from us, our behavior patterns and how we operate in the environment will determine moving forward how the AI will adjust to such, because we have that power to a certain degree. But we have to understand self in the old environment and in the new. So I'm gonna close this video and say, and hopefully another time we can do some more around AI and the different changes that are happening from a digitalization shift, some of the problems and conflicts that could occur, some of the industries that are being affected, some of the applications that are being used, how to look at uncertainty and risk and the complexity and ambiguities that occur, and how to probably position oneself from looking at how processes work, as well as where you are positioned within the scale of the environment, and how to create higher levels of operating in that environment. So we're gonna close the video right now, and I hope this one was a good one for you guys. Don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel, and also press the like button if you liked this video. If you want to hear more information about what we're doing, just tap into the program, and when an alert comes through, then you can actually have a listen. We're really excited moving forward. In the last about 3 months or more, we've had almost 20,000 views. So thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic weekend.